Story 1 of 10. ISIS-linked Australian women and children return home, face charges and legal scrutiny. ISIS-linked Australian women and children return home, face charges and legal scrutiny. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 4 Australian women, Kausar Abbas, Zainab Ahmed, Zara Ahmed and Janai Safar, and 9 children arrived in Australia on May 6, 2026 after leaving Syria's Al-Roj camp. Kausar Abbas, 53, and Zainab Ahmed, 31, were arrested at Melbourne Airport and charged with crimes against humanity, including enslavement, possession of a slave, and slave trading, with each offence carrying a maximum penalty of 25 years imprisonment. Janai Safar, 32, was arrested in Sydney and charged with entering a declared conflict zone and being a member of a terrorist organisation, each carrying a maximum penalty of 10 years imprisonment. The group left the Al-Roj camp in Syria on April 24, 2026, and was stuck in Damascus for nearly 2 weeks before flying to Australia via Doha. The Australian Federal Police, AFP, confirmed that some individuals in the group would be arrested and charged upon arrival, with investigations ongoing since 2015. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC reported that the Australian government was not involved in the Syrian government's decision to turn the group back from Damascus airport in February, but the Syrian government claimed the Australian government had refused to receive them. The Guardian and ABC stated that the group left the Al-Roj camp on April 24, 2026. But some sources, including News Kamau, mentioned that the group had previously attempted to leave in February 2026 and were turned back. The ABC and Guardian reported that the group was stuck in Damascus for nearly 2 weeks. But the Syrian government claimed the delay was due to the Australian government needing to put procedures in place to receive them. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald, and The Age.
Story 2 of 10. Deadly hantavirus outbreak on cruise ship MV Hondius in Atlantic Ocean. Deadly hantavirus outbreak on cruise ship MV Hondius in Atlantic Ocean. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 3 people have died from hantavirus on the MV Hondius cruise ship. A Dutch couple, 70 and 69, and a German national, 80. The cruise ship MV Hondius departed from Ushuaia, Argentina on April 1, 2026, heading to Cape Verde with stops in South Georgia, St. Helena, and Tristan da Cunha. The first death occurred on April 11, 2026, when a 70-year-old Dutchman died on board the ship. The ship was refused permission to dock in Cape Verde due to the outbreak and was redirected to the Canary Islands, Spain. 8 confirmed or suspected cases of hantavirus have been reported, including 3 deaths and 1 patient in intensive care in South Africa. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC report that the British patient in South Africa is in critical but stable condition, while some sources suggest the patient is improving. The date of the German passenger's death is reported as May 2nd in some sources, but The Guardian mentions it occurred on May 2nd after developing a fever on April 28th. Some sources state that 29 passengers disembarked in St. Helena before the outbreak was confirmed, while others mention 23 passengers left the ship on April 21st. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and CB News.
Story 3 of 10. Melbourne teacher jailed for stabbing school principal after contract termination. Melbourne teacher jailed for stabbing school principal after contract termination. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kim Ramchin, 37, attacked Keysborough Secondary College principal Aaron Sykes with 2 knives on December 2nd, 2025, during school hours 3 p.m. Ramchin pleaded guilty to intentionally causing injury, assault with a weapon, and unlawful assault in the Dandenong Magistrates Court on May 6, 2026. Ramchin was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and recurrent depressive disorder with anxious distress after the attack. Aaron Sykes suffered injuries including a 2 centimetre laceration to his neck, cuts to his left cheek and right forearm, and multiple abrasions, bruises. He has not returned to work since the attack. Ramchan claimed in a police interview that he mentally snapped and became incredibly, unbelievably angry, with no clear explanation for his actions. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomo states Ramchan was in custody for 155 days before sentencing, while ABC states he had served 160 days in custody by the time of sentencing. Newscomo mentions Ramchan's lawyers sought summary jurisdiction to avoid county court, but ABC does not reference this procedural detail. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au.
Story 4 of 10. Global cyber hack on Canvas learning system impacts Australian schools and universities. Global cyber hack on Canvas learning system impacts Australian schools and universities. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The hacking group Shiny Hunters claimed responsibility for the breach of Canvas, a learning management system used by about 9,000 institutions globally, including Australian schools and universities. The breach occurred on May 2, 2026, Australian time, with ransom messages delivered to users on May 5/6, and a deadline set by hackers for May 12 to negotiate a settlement. Compromised data includes names, email addresses, student ID numbers, and messages between teachers, students, and parents, but no evidence of passwords, dates of birth, government identifiers, or financial information being accessed. Queensland state schools and Tasmanian public schools using QLearn Canvas were confirmed impacted, with tens of thousands of students and staff affected since 2020. Universities affected include the University of Melbourne, RMIT, University of Sydney, Queensland University of Technology, QUT, Flinders University, and Swinburne University. But not all outlets told the same story. The Age states Canvas access was restored for some institutions by May 11th, while ABC reports Swinburne University and QUT were still unable to access Canvas as of May 11th. The Age claims 3.65 terabytes of data were stolen by Shiny Hunters, but this figure is not mentioned in any other source. ABC reports Shiny Hunters accused Instructure of a second hack after security patches, while the Age and news.com.au do not reference this claim. This story was covered by ABC News, news.com.au and The Age.
Story 5 of 10. One Nation wins Farrer by-election, ending Coalition's 77-year hold. One Nation wins Farrer by-election, ending Coalition's 77-year hold. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Blighty Public School polling booth recorded 101 of 113 votes, 90%, for One Nation's David Farley in the Farrer by-election. Liberal candidate Raisa Butkowski received 11% of the primary vote in Euston, down 55 points from Susan Lay's 66 in 2025. One Nation's primary vote in Euston surged from 7% in 2025 to 49% in the Farrer by-election. In Columbally, the Liberal primary vote collapsed from 62% in 2025 to 7% in the by-election, while One Nation rose from 5% to 57%. In Albury, the Climate 200-backed independent Millthorpe won 41% of the primary vote, while One Nation took 34%, and the Coalition combined received 24%. But not all outlets told the same story. Both sources are identical, so no contradictions exist. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age.
Story 6 of 10. Dietary recommendations to reduce Alzheimer's dementia risk from Rush University study. Dietary recommendations to reduce Alzheimer's dementia risk from Rush University study. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Research from scientists at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago developed a diet plan combining Mediterranean and high blood pressure diet principles to reduce Alzheimer's risk. The diet emphasizes leafy greens, nuts, berries, beans, whole grains, fish, poultry, and olive oil while limiting 5 unhealthy foods. Following the diet strictly cuts Alzheimer's risk by 50%, while loose adherence reduces risk by 35%. Fried or fast food should be limited to once a week or less due to high salt, 5g per portion of fish and chips, saturated fats and obesity risks. Cheese should be limited to less than once a week, with a daily max of 30 grams saturated fat. A 30-gram slice contains 7 grams saturated fat and 125 calories. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age.
Story 7 of 10. Gold Coast mother Maree Crabtree acquitted of son Jonathan's murder after trial. Gold Coast mother Maree Crabtree acquitted of son Jonathan's murder after trial. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Maree Mavis Crabtree, 59, was accused of murdering her 26-year-old son Jonathan Crabtree on July 19, 2017, in their Gold Coast home, Maudsley. Jonathan Crabtree was found dead in his bed from a fatal dose of prescription medication, including oxycodone. Tara Crabtree, Jonathan's sister and Maree's daughter, was the Crown's key witness, alleging Maree laced a fruit smoothie with lethal drugs to kill Jonathan. Maree Crabtree pleaded not guilty to murder, attempted murder, and attempted fraud at the start of her trial in Brisbane Supreme Court on April 7, 2026. Tara Crabtree testified she was present when Maree allegedly prepared the fatal smoothie and an earlier poisoned milkshake attempt. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Tara Crabtree came forward with her account 2 years after Jonathan's death, while Article 2 does not specify the exact timeline of her disclosure to police. Article 1 claims Tara was initially coached by Maree to lie to police about Jonathan's death, but Article 2 does not explicitly mention this coaching. Article 1 suggests Tara's friend destroyed evidence after being asked by the defence, while Article 2 implies Tara herself may have destroyed evidence without direct confirmation from the friend. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au.
Story 8 of 10. ICAC investigates Parramatta Council Pink Ops hiring and surveillance allegations. ICAC investigates Parramatta Council Pink Ops hiring and surveillance allegations. Here's what every outlet agrees on. ICAC launched a public inquiry on May 11, 2026, into allegations against former City of Parramatta Council CEO Gail Connolly and employees Roxanne Thornton and Angela Jones-Blaney. The inquiry focuses on allegations that Connolly, Thornton and Jones-Blaney subverted hiring practices to favour friends, including those in a WhatsApp group called Pink Ops. Connolly was appointed CEO of City of Parramatta Council in April 2023 and terminated in October 2025, earning over $500,000 annually. The ICAC inquiry examines allegations of covert electronic surveillance and workplace investigations used to remove employees perceived as critics. City of Parramatta Council paid $5.2 million to more than 80 employees who were fired or made redundant between 2022 and 2025. But not all outlets told the same story. The ABC states the inquiry focuses on a shorter period Connolly oversaw, while The Guardian does not specify a narrower timeframe for scrutiny. The ABC mentions Anna Swanwick as Connolly's executive officer, but The Guardian does not reference her in the allegations. The Guardian notes Connolly denied any wrongdoing, but neither source provides a direct quote or statement from her. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian.
Story 9 of 10. Split ends reunion tour and legacy after 17-year hiatus. Split ends reunion tour and legacy after 17-year hiatus. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Split Ends is Forever Ends tour is their first since 2009, featuring shows in Wellington, May 2026, Auckland, May 2026, and Australia starting May 2026. The band includes Tim Finn, Neil Finn, Noel Crombie, Eddie Rayner, James Milne, and Matt Eccles in their current lineup. Split Ends formed in Auckland in 1972 with Tim Finn and Phil Judd as original members. Neil Finn joined Split Ends in 1977, replacing Phil Rudd on guitar, and became a key songwriter. Split Ends' hit I Got You, 1980, topped Australian charts and remains a classic rock staple, but not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states the Forever Ends tour began in 2026, while the ABC article does not specify the start date, but mentions it kicked off earlier in 2026 at Electric Avenue Festival. The ABC mentions Eddie Rayner as a current member, but The Guardian does not list him in the current lineup explicitly. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian.
Story 10 of 10. Royal Commission on Antisemitism hears testimonies of online bullying and hate incidents in Australia. Royal Commission on Antisemitism hears testimonies of online bullying and hate incidents in Australia. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 15-year-old Jewish boy, referred to as ABB or the 15-year-old boy, testified at the Royal Commission on Antisemitism and Social Cohesion about being targeted with anti-Semitic slurs in a Minecraft chat group by students from his Perth public school. The boy reported receiving messages including "I hate Jews" and "rabid, filthy, rotten, gut-wrenching, grotesque Rabbi Yarmarka," wearing bank-owning Iron Doming Hashem following Jew in the Minecraft chat. The boy told his parents, "I have no friends left," and his father reported the incident to the school, which was described as extremely supportive and led to the students apologising. Executive Council of Australian Jewry, ECAJ, reported a 316% increase in anti-Semitic incidents in Australia between 2023 and 2024, followed by a 19% decrease between 2024 and 2025, with 2,600 plus incidents recorded in 2025. Julie Nathan, ECAJ Research Director, testified about receiving an anti-Semitic caricature with the caption, "Julie simply desires to be filled with Aryan seed," describing it as horrifying. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the Royal Commission is in its second week of hearings, while News Comeu mentions last week for witness testimonies, creating ambiguity about the exact timing of the hearings. ABC does not mention the prison-like school security comparison, while News Comeu explicitly describes schools as resembling prisons due to security concerns. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au.